Tonight's big stories. At least one Filipino is among the casualties of the wildfires in Hawaii, where the death toll has now climbed to more than 110.
Senator Ejercito pushes back against allegations that his father, the former President Joseph Estrada, was the one who promised to remove the BRP Sierra Madre from Ayungin Shoal. We'll discuss with him live in the studio.
And two of the three teams that will face off with Gilas Pilipinas in their final tune-up games before the World Cup have arrived in the country. Amongst them, Chicago Bulls center Nikola Vucevic.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Sean Yao.
All right, we're kicking off the show on the eve of a long weekend with some important economic updates, I guess.
Why do you have to do this to us on the eve of a long weekend?
Exactly, maybe to rein in some of that carefree spending, hey? Central Bank says inflation averaging at 5.6% this year. That's up from the previous projection of 5.5% and way above the 2 to 4% target band. Upside risks include oil price hikes, possible wage increases, food supply problems, and the impact of El Nino. Despite this, the BSP isn't keen on hiking interest rates. The Monetary Board kept benchmark rates at 6.25% on Thursday. It said the rate pause should not affect economic growth at this point, although the government should do its part and ramp up spending.
We don't see monetary tightening as having been a factor in the lower growth forecast. Don't see any easing, not at least not in the next meeting. The rates are not that elevated. They're still low enough to not be a factor in growth.
Now, markets did not seem to like that the BSP stood pat with the peso weakening after that rate decision. It has actually been on a losing spree for a few weeks now. We have Yeda Pascual to give us some updates. Yeda, what is the BSP doing about our currency?
Sean, for now, the BSP said it will let the market dictate the peso-dollar exchange rate. The central bank said the peso is no longer that sensitive to commodity prices. The local currency closed lower at 56.77 versus the US dollar on Thursday, following the BSP's rate pause. It bounced back today at 56.18 against the greenback. BSP Deputy Governor Francisco Daquila said their best strategy for now is to concentrate on achieving their inflation target. As for the peso, the central bank did say that it only weakened slightly compared to other currencies in the region. Sean?
Thanks for that, Yeda Pascual.
Although the BSP has raised its inflation forecast, President Marcos is confident prices will soon stabilize, at least when it comes to rice. Marcos, who is also agriculture chief, says he's confident that the country has enough supply of the staple as harvest begins in major palay-producing regions. But price monitoring by the Agricultural Department shows that prices of local rice now range from 41 to 60 pesos a kilo, depending on the variety. The president is attributing current high prices to factors like high importation costs.
Ang binabantayan siyempre natin yung farm gate price dahil yun ang nagpataas sa presyo ngayon at pati yung pag-import ng mga ibang inputs at saka ng bigas mismo.
Of course, there's forecast produce coming around September, current wet season crop. DA says harvest has started in the provinces of Isabela, Nueva Ecija, and North Cotabato, producing an estimated 900,000 metric tons, which they say will bring down the price of rice. But of course, there's rising fuel costs and the other countries banning exports.
Banning exports of the non-basmati rice.
As we just have been talking about, of course, our exchange rate moving will affect prices on the ground as well.
Because we pay for imports in dollars. So the weaker the peso, the more we pay for imports. And of course, barring typhoons.
El Nino, typhoons,
exactly,
extreme
right?
weather
So
events.
that's the biggest question mark at this point. Whether the rest of the year would give us fair weather in order for us to harvest that much that they're forecasting at the moment.
Which is 11.5 million metric tons. That's a lot.
Sorely need at this point. Other measures eyed by the government to bring down the rice prices is a possible review of the rice tariffication law. Our Mojo Julie Baiza joins us to give us the details. Julie, what do you have?
Yes, Reg, DA Assistant Secretary Rex Estuperas told the Philippine Star that President Marcos supports a review of the rice tarification law to empower the National Food Authority or NFA amid the spike in rice prices. You see, the rice tarification law stripped the NFA of regulatory roles such as import licensing and warehouse inspections. The RTL also changed rice inventory requirements for the private sector from 60 days to 81 days and for the NFA from 30 days to just 9 days. Importers, meanwhile, are required to pay 35% tariff, a percentage of which is appropriated to the rice industry's development. Estuperas says a recommendation for RTL amendments will be sent to the President, who concurrently is Agriculture Secretary. Reg?
Thanks for that update, Julie Baiza.
Here's some sad news. The DFA has confirmed that at least one Filipino died from the wildfires in Maui, Hawaii. The victim was identified as 79-year-old Alfredo Galinato, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Ilocos. The Philippine consulate in Honolulu is now assisting his family, who are all Hawaii-based. Meanwhile, search operations continue for the hundreds reported as still missing. Maui's Emergency Services Chief, Herman Andaya, has resigned following heavy criticism for not activating the sirens during the fire. Andaya earlier defended his decision, saying the sirens were meant for tsunamis and would have pushed people into the mountains, directly into the fires.
Had we sounded the siren that night, we're afraid that people would have gone Mauka. And if that was the case, then they would have gone into the fire. You should also note that there are no sirens Mauka or on the mountainside where the fire was spreading down. So even if we sounded the siren, it would not have saved those people on the mountainside, Mauka.
Well, up next, look who we have here in the studio. We're sitting down with Senator Ejercito to talk about a range of issues, including the West Philippine Sea, the Manila Bay reclamation projects, and of course, how he lost all that weight. Stay with us.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News.
The battle for Ayungin Shoal continues, with both Manila and Beijing at a standoff over how to treat future resupply missions to the BRP Sierra Madre. Our first guest tonight is in the headlines for speaking up about it too. I'm talking about none other than Senator Ejercito. Welcome to the show, Senator.
Yes, hello ladies, good to meet all of you.
Since we're talking about that topic already, your father has been dragged into this topic about whether the Philippines committed to remove the BRP Sierra Madre from the Ayungin Shoal. What happened exactly there during the presidency of your father? Bakit nga ba nagkakagulo ngayon?
Well, as far as I can remember, I think it was 1999. My father was still in Malacanang. And there was considerable activity already from the Chinese militia vessels in the Mischief Reef, in the disputed island. So it was recommended by the Defense Department and the Armed Forces that we should already stake our claim to that area. And that time, the World War II vintage Sierra Madre was about to be decommissioned. And it was he who said, let's ground it there. So that's the history on why BRP Sierra Madre is now in Ayungin Shoal, and upon the instruction of then President Estrada to ground the said ship to Ayungin Shoal so that it would serve as a temporary base for our Marines who are stationed now
Right,
there.
but then the bone of contention now is that he supposedly also had verbally promised to somebody to remove it. May katotohanan ba yun? Or
Well,
haka-haka?
Actually,
You guys have said...
I just want to point out, I think this all started with the
With an
Manila
article.
Times columnist Rigoberto
Bobby
Tiglao, Bobby Tiglao, who made that claim.
Well,
so,
that is correct. No? I read about it, and I think it's very inconsistent because it was President Estrada who ordered that the ship be grounded in Ayungin Shoal. So I don't think he will be the one also to commit its removal.
Have you asked President Arab? Does he remember anything?
Well, unfortunately, my father is not anymore in the best shape. No? I don't think he will remember. He has already some lapses already in his memory. But I don't recall any. And even some of the officials don't say are saying that there's no commitment. And I don't recall any from since 1999 up to the present that there was such a commitment for the Philippine government to remove BRP Sierra Madre. And since that time, the supply of food and supplies to our Marines were very smooth until just recently when the situation escalated.
Well, was it you who said that it's the fault of the administrations after your father's presidency that led to this?
Well, I didn't say it was their fault, but probably they failed to follow through because whatever they say about President Arab, at least he had the balls, at what I said,
Yeah.
to stake our claim already. No?
So was that supposed
and
to
fight
be...
for our sovereignty.
Right, was that supposed to be, okay, let's do this first because it's
Yes.
faster, let's just ground the Sierra Madre, and then after maybe build something.
Yes.
Hindi lang natuloy.
As far as I can recall, it was just supposed to be a temporary base for our Marines to stake our claim and mark our territory. But unfortunately, as I said, the administrations that followed didn't follow through anymore. By now, we should have had our permanent base already, no? By this time, instead of that deteriorating BRP Sierra Madre that is still there right now.
outside of the issue with your father, Senator, you're a sitting senator, of course.
Yes.
How have you reacted, or how have you seen the response to this whole Ayungin Shoal incident? Of course, both sides have already issued diplomatic protests,
Yes.
and I believe they're working things out behind the scenes. But have you been happy with how we've handled it so far?
Well, I'm happy with how the President and recently Defense Secretary Yubo Teodoro has been very firm that we will fight for our territory at all costs. No? But, it's not that, I grew up in a Chinese school, no? Sister schools. I love my Chinoy friends, but it's just the government that I do not trust anymore because we have sent more than 100 note verbales already, diplomatic protests because of the harassment of our fishermen, Coast Guard, Navy personnel, and it seems to fall on deaf ears. So, but China is a superpower. We're just a third world country. We cannot match them in terms of military might. But I think we have to exhaust all. We have to keep the lines open, exhaust all diplomatic means. But we also have to do our part in having minimum credible defense posture. No? At least have a respectable armed forces, no? That so that it can protect and stand up and be respected.
Are you talking about something specific, like joint patrols?
Modernization?
Well, also, modernization. at least we are already on the right track. We have new vessels already. I'm hoping that we continue and focus now in external defense, because I think the internal defense, the AFP has said that the the secessionist movement has already weakened. But again, as I mentioned, we cannot match to China, no? But I hope that we can have a dialogue and forge alliances with the right-thinking nations, our former known allies like Japan, United States, Australia, and ASEAN countries which have similar disputes with China, no? Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei, I think. So at least there's strength in numbers. So that we will make sure that the freedom of navigation in the West Philippine Sea area will be maintained.
Right, Sen, while we're on the topic of fishermen and bodies of water, I'm going to shift it over internally into the Manila Bay, where you, of course, have been very vocal about investigating these reclamation activities in the Manila Bay. Which particular violations are you, feeling strongly against? And what lapses do you think might have been committed in giving these approvals?
Well, Sean, the reason why I really spoke on the issue is that who really owns Manila Bay? From what I know, it's a patrimonial asset. It's owned by the Republic of the Philippines. And bottom line, is it the Filipino people who will benefit from these reclamation projects, or just a few? Because from what I know, I also was in business development, so they will be giving permits to reclaim. They will develop, probably sell commercial, residential, but I don't think the ordinary Filipinos will have access there. And from ever since I was a kid, going to Manila Bay was already, sabi, magpahangin tayo, no? You can walk on the seaside.
Hindi ka na makakabike doon, Sen.
Magpabuhangin na lang.
Pabuhangin na ngayon.
Baliktad
Ngayon,
na.
pabuhangin na.
Baka mag-aasma kayo.
It's really sad because the charm of Manila Bay, in fact, it's a heritage, supposedly, of the city of Manila. My question is, why was the local government units, they were given the authority to negotiate for these reclamation projects, when in fact, again, the Manila Bay, from my point of view, is owned by the Republic. No? It's a patrimonial property. So this is the things that we have to investigate. And also, another issue is the environmental impact. No? So I would want to know if all of these reclamation projects, 22 of them, underwent environmental impact assessment.
Especially also since we understand from DPWH Secretary Manny Bonoa that it did not go through them.
Yes.
These 22 reclamation projects.
And that is very disturbing because most of our technical people are the DPWH. And from what happened recently with Ege and Falcon, with the flooding that happened, so we want to know also if because it might block all the passageway going to Manila Bay from Metro Manila.
And this is why you're calling for a Senate investigation on it.
Actually, there was a resolution already filed by Senator Ejercito last November. So
That
it
was
was now
last year.
referred
Yeah.
last year, but it is now referred to the proper committee, which is Committee on Environment. It was
So
first
it won't be the
referred
Blue Ribbon?
to the Committee on Housing.
Okay.
But I said that I think we have to look at the environmental impact. So it was now recently referred, corrected already to Committee on Environment. So we will have a committee here on investigation very soon.
But can I ask, Sen, because of course, as we all already know, one of the reclamation projects there that will be affected is, of course, for the dad of Senator Win Gatchalian. Of course, he is your collegiate or your colleague. Are you guys okay with this? Have you spoken to him? Is
Well,
that a little bit awkward on that?
Actually, we're group mates, so we're called the seatmates block in the Senate because we were the younger guys before, and we have not really talked about it. And I'm sure that he will understand where I'm coming from because, as I mentioned, I bike there almost every day. I bike to work. Going to there, before I go to work, I go do the rounds in MOA, and I can see the progress, no, from last year until this year, and they're getting closer and closer.
So,
And,
ano na yung napapansin nyo na natatabunan na? Kasi alam ko sa may Sofitel, doon
Sofitel.
sa
Oh,
Manila.
Yeah, yung
You're right,
tweet
there's
mo
so much
nag-viral.
What else? What areas pa have you
Coconut
noticed?
Palace, and then some areas as well. It's quite big already. It's very fast. And just behind the Senate, no, yung view ng Senate is also gone already by this time. And it's fast, no? I think there are about 40 or 50 vessels, dredgers, vessels. And I think they're Chinese vessels pa. And I'm not surprised if they're the ones that were used also in the West Philippine Sea. They're now in Manila Bay, so...
Same ano kasi, no? Same yung ginagawa nila.
Yes.
Well, Senator, speaking of swiftly gone, I'd like to talk about bike lanes. Today, I think I read a note saying that in San Juan, they're removing the bike lanes. Mayor Zamora has signed that because according to a review by the MMDA, they say it's not optimal given the level of traffic now on the streets. What's your view on that? Alam po natin that it's been a struggle for advocates to fight for the bike lanes because sinasabi nga po nila lagi na 20% lang yung may-ari na sasakyan but they get 80% of the roads.
space,
But now, given the level of traffic, and also you live there in San Juan,
Yes.
what would be your take on
Well,
that?
being a biker, of course, I would support having bike lanes. And in fact, we have filed a bill already by Senator Pia Cayetano, safe pathways, and that all roads that will be constructed now will be automatic. There will be pathways, walkways, and bike lanes. Unfortunately, when our roads were constructed, it was not meant to have bike lanes. But during pandemic, we did. But I would still say we have to maintain bike lanes, especially in the secondary roads. I would want to use the secondary roads. I think it's safer. And like EDSA, for example, I'm a biker, but I think in EDSA, all the mass transit is there. The MRT is there. The buses are there. So as bikers, I think we can use the secondary roads. But or probably we can have an experimental scheme that every rush hour we allow those who bike to work to use the bike lanes. But after probably 7 to 9, we can allow all vehicles already or use that area because sayang din because during the day nobody uses the bike lanes anymore, no? By the time those who bike to work are already
yung mga
in the work.
motorcycles use it.
They use it. Yes.
So it's
Illegally.
also well, supposed to be pang
Bike
bisikleta
lanes,
yun. But honestly, I think some of our riders they think when they say bike, counted rin yung motorbike. Kasi may isang time nagalit yung motorcycle, sinita siya ng isang motorist. Na parang, huy, bakit ka nasa bike lane? Pang bike lang yan. Parang he genuinely did not know na pang bisikleta lang siya. So, how can you're also an advocate of safe riding, road rules. Sen, ano bang pwede natin gawin?
Paano ba
I'm a biker and a rider also.
Yun nga, he's a biker, he's a rider.
Yeah, I think it's quite a challenge because of it's getting back to pre-pandemic levels, no, the traffic. I think those who bike to work should be given a specific time going to and back, going home, and then instead of the whole day, kasi I can notice that nobody uses the bike lanes anymore. No,
in the middle of the day.
In the middle of the day, so probably we can allow the riders, no, because we cannot discount also that these courier riders have helped our economy as well, especially during the pandemic and until now, no. So I think they can use it during the day. At least doon na lang po sila, no. Be controlled also. So
That
that's
would take
one
a lot
thing.
of political will and enforcement.
And then you run into issues with enforcement. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But coming back to Gretchen's question with San Juan dismantling the bike lanes, I wonder if you've had a chance to speak to Mayor Zamora.
Well, we don't really speak to each other. Unfortunately, we're political adversaries.
Even for something as
I know, but we should.
as important to you as biking.
Uy, kasi alam natin na ang biking also induce demand yan eh. Kumbaga, build the roads, build the bike lanes, people will come.
Yes.
But if it's too dangerous, people will opt to just not use it.
a bike.
It's really actually it's difficult. It's quite a challenge to use the bike in Metro Manila. That's why I bike, but early. 6 to 6:30 is still okay.
Is
It's
that
a time,
how
it's
you
a time.
lost weight? I know we did promise our viewers some like
How many
fitness
pounds?
advice.
How many pounds?
Actually, when we were still racing, Gretchen, I think in Vios Cup, I remember because Vios small engine, no? So I was big that time. I was 113 kilos. I remember. So I had to lessen my fuel so that I can...
Kasi ano yun eh, yung
May
weight ng
timbang.
fuel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to lessen, but I'm about, the last time it's 93 kilos.
Ang
90
galing.
kilos.
Is that just from biking? Or
Now you have to also control the food intake. So it's not just, probably exercise is 20-30%.
How many times in a week do you bike?
Probably 4 or 5 times a week. I bike to work, and then Thursdays, since there's no session,
Pauwi din?
Thursday, Friday.
Pauwi din?
I
Hindi
know,
na.
because I'm already,
Pambihis
dressed
na.
already.
Sa morning na.
Morning.
Rush
yeah.
hour na kasi sa gabi.
Yes.
all right.
Well, since we were on the topic, yesterday lang the DTI was suggesting we should look at rice alternatives. That was our story yesterday. Corn and kamote.
Corn, kamote,
What did you think of that?
adlay rice. There's corn rice also.
Yeah.
In Mindanao, I think. So these are good alternatives. I think adlay and
What's your
like
rice
corn.
alternative of choice, San?
I eat black rice, no?
Black
Upland
rice.
rice.
Your thoughts on lowering the cost of rice? I mean, we've seen the Kadiwa stores subsidized yung mga yon. Pero patuloy pa rin tumataas yung presyo. We're facing pressures from those who ban exports. How do
actually-
we solve that? And is the government doing enough?
Well, that's the difficult situation. We're in a difficult situation right now, as what the president said, that he is really worried because of the ban imposed by India, Vietnam also, because in anticipation of El Nino, no, they are also trying to control and regulate what they are exporting. Personally, I still think that we have to try to be self-sustaining. It's a difficult task, but we can do it because we are an agricultural country. But unfortunately, in the recent decades or recent years, agencies have been, parang they got so into importation. Probably they earn or somebody earns and is here. But I still think I would support the President's initiative that we go back to being self-sufficient and support local agriculture. It's a difficult task, but I think it just needs political will.
So where is your black rice from, San?
From Mindanao and upland rice from the mountainous areas
Okay, up north.
up north.
All right, thank you so much for your time and for coming over and gracing our bright red sofas tonight, Senator J.V. Ejercito.
We're going to pause for a quick one, but up next, Taguig City stands its ground, saying it doesn't need a writ of execution to take control of the Embo barangays. The latest on that dispute when the big story returns. Welcome back to the big story. Taguig City is insisting that a writ of execution is no longer necessary for it to exercise jurisdiction on the 10 disputed barangays that were formerly part of Makati City. In a statement, the Taguig LGU stressed that the Supreme Court's decision in favor of them is, quote-unquote, clear and unambiguous. In the title, they called for a stop to the supposed lies and disinformation. Taguig notes that the 10 barangays, which include the Embos or the enlisted men's barrios, have been declared by the High Court as within their territory, and that the decision is final and executory. Taguig says Makati is automatically and immediately divested of authority over the area. The city government of Taguig is also slammed SC's Office of Court Administration, or OCA, saying that their supposed initial assessment is not only a non-binding opinion but is beyond their legal authority. Taguig released a statement in reaction to OCA saying that Taguig has to secure a writ of execution first before gaining control of the 10 barangays. Meanwhile, the PNP clarified that police officers assigned to stations in the Embo areas will not be transferred to the new jurisdiction. PNP spokesperson Jean Fajardo says, though, that half of Makati's police personnel will be part of the turnover to support Taguig personnel who will take over their stations.
Ito po ay doon lamang po tayo sa maintenance of peace and order na siguraduhin na wala pong mangyayaring arising from any tension. Wala po tayong papanigan dito. Ipapatupad po natin kung ano po yung nasa utos po ng ating Korte Suprema.
Traffic was quite bad today along EDSA, with some motorists experiencing hours-long delays along the thoroughfare. And even at this time, traffic is still slow-moving. Let's see the latest from EDSA with News 5's Faith Del Mundo. Faith, why is traffic this bad along EDSA today?
Yes, Gretchen, there is a heavy traffic during the rush hour in some parts of EDSA. It's because it's a typical Friday scenario, and of course the motorists wanted to experience long weekend on August 21. It's a special non-working holiday, so they are actually expecting that there are more volume of vehicles now here and a while ago, but at 7 p.m. it's actually the situation here improved. Gretchen?
Alright, hi AFC Shonto. Kakadaan ko lang ng EDSA, no, mga 7 o'clock pa southbound. Yung short stretch that I passed, the Mandaluyong stretch, was pretty okay. Can you tell us where the bottlenecks are para dun sa mga mag-out of town or gigimik ngayong Friday night?
Yes, Sean, good news nga, no? Kasi kanina, rush hour, sobrang bigat nung daloy ng traffic. Yun nga yung simula yan sa Magallanes hanggang sa EDSA North. So yan yung parang sobrang heavy yung traffic. Pero ngayon, kung makikita nyo nga sa aking likuran, no, ito medyo nag-improve na yung situation. Ito yung sa southbound. Nagsisimula nga yan dun sa Buendia na lang yung traffic. Moderate to heavy traffic. Simula yan dito sa Buendia hanggang sa Magallanes. At kung titingnan naman natin, dito naman sa northbound, good news naman, medyo talagang lumuwag na yung daloy ng traffic. Compare nga yan kaninang mga rush hour at kaninang 7 p.m. Nakita natin yung improvement. Sean?
F, this is Reg. Quick lang, will there be repairs along EDSA or any other roads this weekend? Alam mo ba?
Yes, Regina, no road repairs in EDSA, but however, meron nga mga road repairs naman dun sa ibang part ng Metro Manila. No? Banggitin lang natin yung mga road repairs that will be starting 11 p.m. tonight until August 21 on Monday in the morning yan. So the following roads, yung C5 Road, C3 Road in Caloocan, Rizal Avenue, exit Caloocan City. Sa Manila naman, Staff Avenue and Pedro Hill Street in Quezon City, Mindanao Avenue A, Bonifacio Avenue, Commonwealth Avenue, Aurora Boulevard, and East Avenue, and MacArthur Highway, Malabon City. Regina?
All right, thank you so much for that very important update. That was Faith Del Mundo.
Well, it is the long weekend, but apart from that, it's also the FIBA World Cup. So we got teams now arriving here this week.
So exciting.
Speaking of, they have arrived in the Philippines ahead of their tune-up games versus Gilas Pilipinas. First arrival on Thursday was Ivory Coast. The African squad said they look forward to facing a tough Gilas team to help them gauge their competitiveness before they take on Spain, Brazil, and Iran in Group G in Indonesia. The closed-door tune-up game between Gilas and Ivory Coast has likely begun at the Phil Sports Arena.
I'm so tired. If you're good, be good. Enjoy. In first time you come to Philippines, so enjoy. It's a great team, so it's a good experience. So we'll see if you win, if you don't win. Enjoy your time.
Another team that arrived in the country is Montenegro. Chicago Bulls center Nikola Vucevic, who expressed his excitement facing Gilas, will spearhead a Montenegro squad, which is seen as one of the tallest teams in the tournament. Gilas will play Montenegro on August 20.
We're excited for it. They're a good team. It'll be a good preparation game for us before the World Cup starts. Obviously, for me, it's exciting to see JC. I played against him a lot of times in the NBA. Very good player. I know he takes a lot of pride playing for the Philippines, so that's amazing.
As for the FIBA World Cup preparation itself, Smart Communications has teamed up with Huawei and Ericsson to further expand and optimize its LTE and 5G mobile network coverage across all FIBA Basketball World Cup venues. This means that Smart subscribers can expect world-class mobile experience at the Smart Araneta Coliseum in Quezon City, the SM Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City, and the Philippine Arena in Bulacan.
Just read EDSA traffic and then FIBA tune-up games. Suddenly something clicked in my head na parang, oh nga, now it makes sense to me why President Marcos had to call it a holiday. Because the jams are gonna get unbearable.
Kasi August 29
Oh,
na rin. Ay, pero August 25 na.
August 25
Yes, August
lang.
25 for the opening ceremony at the
Because they
Philippine
have to
Arena.
go all the way north to Philippine
Yes.
Arena.
Can you imagine?
Oh my
buying
goodness.
all those tickets tapos you don't even make it to the opening
But it's
And
ceremony.
also some of the teams, di ba?
Yes.
Because yung ibang games sa Samoa Arena, so baka they're staying near there where most of the games are played. Tapos for the opening, you have to go all the way across
Yes,
Metro
exactly.
Manila.
Pero na-realize nila yan early on. I think that's why they adjusted. Yung parang final rounds are in Araneta and MOA.
Okay.
Kasi they moved it from Philippine Arena because of the logistical reasons.
Right.
But apart from that, it's good to know that they're boosting the signal kasi sobrang hina raw sa Philippine Arena.
Yes, that's right.
Lagi.
Yeah, so it's a nightmare getting
Good
out.
news.
All right. We're gonna...
Yes, we do want to hit a record. Tama si Dr. Eddie. Okay, up next, sumilip yata yung ating guest. Siya pa naman yung itutukoy ko ngayon. No? How do we attract luck and positive energy?
We need that.
During the Ghost Month,
We
right?
need that.
That's right now. We'll find out from Feng Shui expert Dr. Andy Tan when the big story returns. Stay with us.
You're still watching the big story here on One News.
It is considered the scariest period of the year. And no, we are not talking about Halloween or All Souls Day. We are talking about Ghost Month, which runs this year, because it changes every year, but this year it's from August 16 to September 14. And to tell us more about what to do and what to avoid during this period, we have with us Feng Shui expert Dr. Andy Tan. Good evening, Doc Andy.
Hi.
Do I call you Doc Andy? Welcome to the big story.
Good evening. Thanks for having
Teka
me.
lang, tuloy na natin yung kanina. Sabi mo 54,000 ang goal nila sa day 1 opening ng FIBA.
From what I gathered, they're supposed to make a record, a Guinness World of Record, for the most number of participants in an opening game.
Where did you gather that info?
You know, actually,
Kaya
we did
Kaya
have that
yan.
news also. I think it was 34,000 is the current record.
Okay.
Which was from the last
Easy.
hosting.
We can beat that.
Something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
what I
Can
saw.
beat
Said
that.
it's easy.
Because the Philippine Arena has a 50,000 capacity. So, pupunuin lang natin.
Oh, exactly.
And,
Anyways,
and walang pasok.
Yes,
as Reg
exactly.
pointed out. So wala tayong excuse not to go. Dr. Andy, let's move on now from FIBA, since next week pa
To
yon,
Ghost Month.
to Ghost Month. So it started already.
Started
Month
2
na.
days ago officially. It started August 16 and it will end September 14. It's a 30-day thing to commemorate, to remember our loved ones who have passed away.
Okay, you have some notes there. What's in your notes, Doc? What's the do's and don'ts of Ghost Month this year?
Yeah, something like a simplified form of what to do or what not to do, what to avoid or what can be done, those things.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, a simple like, okay, for the ball game on the 25th, highly advisable, go early. And if not, it will be just like
I'm
the
writing it down.
It will be just no. Why? It's usually the ghost month time wherein the tide is the highest of them all, and at the same time the rain, it's volume talaga. Just like a recent concert of a foreign artist wherein people cuts up to the last number because of the traffic and the flood. So if you want,
Nangyari kay Bruno Mars na doon.
Yun ba yun?
yeah, so if you want to watch the ball game, better go early.
Since wala nga namang pasok.
Noted.
Yeah, walang pasok. That's one of the reasons why nang walang pasok. Okay? And then Ghostman, okay, it's not something horrified or something nakakatakot. Okay? So it's a simple time now wherein we just want to remember our deceased loved ones, families or relatives. So what to avoid, like in the field of socio-economic thing on the business, for the developers, we don't do groundbreaking. Or for the business, an opening, launching,
Ribbon cuttings, stuff
ribbon
like that.
cuttings,
Bawal
those
din
things.
maglipat ng bahay, di ba, Doc?
Preferably not on this time. It's a matter of we call it the role of duality. If there's right, there's left. There's pangit, there's pangit, there's maganda.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Sobra ka
What
naman,
is
Doc.
up, what is down. So what is positive, the other side might be negative. Why don't we go for the positive things na lang? Okay? So it's an opening wherein the spirits are all coming in. Fiesta, open house. Okay? For those who have loved ones who still remember them, they do offering. What should be done?
What should you offer?
Offering kasi like most majority is number 1, prayers. Number 2, for the peace of mind, for the safe travel, for the journey. And then other than that, the food.
Food.
Okay? And then in Chinese naman kasi tradition, if you dream of someone who died and then giniginaw, maybe because of the climate change, we offer their clothing, we burn it, the essence. That's why sa Chinese, we offer holy money or holy paper. Those things na in
Yung
yellow.
Kim,
Shokim,
But
Kim
only
Chua.
if you dream of them?
No, even if you don't dream of them, you also offer it. Like I did for a Japanese car company, I made offering. So the local Chinese owner, the grandma is 80 plus. They started burning holy paper, okay? Until the Japanese guy, American educated, wants to get some, he burned also. Later, the ama, burning bigger paper na. What's that? That's not cash, that's bond. The Japanese asked for it, na naman, we burned. And now they're one of the biggest place. Yon, for
Doc
the business.
Andy, since nandito ka na,
Wait, sorry. Hindi ba siya tapos eh? Sorry, let me just come back. Yung mga don't. So don't open or inaugurate businesses. Don't. What else?
No Chinese, all traditional way get
Don't
married.
move houses.
Don't get married.
Don't get married.
Oh,
Get
Gretchen,
engaged or
don't
get
let- don't-
married.
Don't be making plans, ha?
You can wear the engagement ring temporarily. And then after the ghost man, just go
Eh,
on.
don't get engaged too, right? Hindi ba?
Yeah, you can wear it without being engaged.
But travels are allowed.
Travels, it depends on for me, the practice is, it depends on the individual sign. Okay, this is a year of a water rabbit. Look at all the climate change, all the water, all the deluge, and anywhere, everywhere. Okay? And then, this is a time that there's high tide. Okay? Rainy season. With or without habagat, with or without all those things, expect more water until the end of the year. So, don't travel by sea.
Ano pong gagawin? What if you, for example, accidentally break one of those, don't do this or do that? Ano yung pangontra na pwede mong gawin?
Prayers.
Ayan, that's
Number
it.
1. And then nandiyan na yun with the acceptance na I didn't make it on purpose. Sorry. Okay? So to counter it, it depends on who's the boss up there, not here. Things like that.
to you to offer prayers to counter if you end up with getting
Married.
surprisingly unexpectedly married. Okay.
Gretch, you have to wait 1 month. Okay, konti na lang, matatapos na rin to.
Hypothetically, you're a Chinese and then the other party is not. How can you stop them? They don't practice Gosman. Okay?
But have you not observed, Doc, na ang daming nag-o-observe din na mga Filipinos ng
In the stock market, mga investors.
Look at stock market. It's all the way down
It's
to
always quiet at this
6,300. It's
time,
gonna
yeah.
go about to 6,261 pa, unfortunately.
It's always quiet because
market-
investors don't like investing
Yeah.
at this time. You're not supposed to put in money,
We
right?
thought without the recession in the U.S., we thought without the dollar breaking the 57:1, okay, everything is not on the sweet, on a nice positive energy. That's a ghost month. Okay, so again, don't get engaged, don't get married, avoid groundbreaking. Okay, but if, let's say, somebody asks me, Andy, this is something na talagang the best deal of them all. Okay, if it's not that positive, the timing, you can do an sort of a letter of intent. You can do the down payment. Like in condo, we have an offering in Cebu for a 50+ story for one of the developers I'm handling. Everybody wants to get in. How can you stop them? How can you? And they're also Chinese. No, Andy, I'm not gonna pay it, but I'm gonna put some deposit lang.
Speaking
Gretchen can deposit 10%, but Sean can deposit 20%. I'll offer it to Sean.
Dr. Andy, very quickly, kasi yung director namin tinatanong kung okay daw ba yung feng shui ng aming show, barring this very, very bright red couch, of course, for good luck and prosperity.
Do you
What
like
do you
our little
think?
plastic plant?
You can
know,
be
we have a little
honest.
plastic plant
You can be
pa.
honest with us.
The plastic plant is not ratio proportionate, not that tiny energy, positive, and the whole negative thing.
Okay,
Come
noted.
on. Okay?
Small
This
plant.
color is called the Kundalini color for the Inja Chakra Center. This stimulates growth. This makes people hungry. For the bar, this is the color I use. It makes you drink more. It makes you go daring.
4 bars.
Tangerine for food. Look at the fast food, and the other one, the golden yellow, the golden, So I'm
Even the
hunting both
chicken
of them.
one. You're
Yeah.
right.
So, magugutom kami dito?
No.
Alam mo, parang totoo yun. Gutom na gutom ako lagi.
Sorry, no pun intended.
Yeah.
You guys are just the background. This is the one attracting the energy for the people to see.
Okay.
So
So this is good to have this red couch.
Very good color.
Okay. What about
Just to
our-
clarify
Why are
that.
the Maharishi,
about our
why are the
little
Indian
table?
monks, why are the Chinese monks wearing this kind of color?
Doc, what is not so great and we can change? We're gonna have it changed.
Maybe
if you
the
say
table,
that-
no?
Is it the table? Is it...
Actually, I can do the best feng shui, but if the people involved, the people inside there is not doing everything accordingly, wala rin yung feng shui.
What do you mean by that? Ano yung kailangan gawin ng mga tao na nagpapa-feng shui? Meron din pala dapat contribution.
It takes two to tango. I can say everything, but you don't comply. You just do it for the sake of asking or just for the sake of doing it. But without this, it
Our
will never
director
work.
is listening, Doc.
Sorry?
Our
He will
director
do something
is
about
listening.
it now.
Well, kasi for the other side of it, I told them your fine size were vegan, they don't listen, and then what happened is pak, pak, pak.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay? And then yung mga inaanak ko, nandito na lahat. Ayun. And then, the place here kasi, okay, before we come in, this place is full of energy. Positive, negative, otherwise, okay? But before I came in through that door, through that passageway, yak,
There? Outside?
Bakit?
Yeah.
Bakit?
sabog-sabog.
What can we do?
I call it the SB department.
Ano
Bakit?
SB?
Seemingly busy.
Oh, it is seemingly lang.
Seemingly lang, as if they're so busy, but you ask them, they don't do anything. They don't produce anything. They cannot show you anything. But inside here, I have this list, and yet we're talking some other things, but the energy is wow.
So good
Very
energy
good.
here. Yung mga nasa labas na nagtatrabaho.
Sila yun hindi kami
Si
kasama.
Doc yun ah. I didn't say that.
Hindi, inaam na lang namin. Kinaklarify.
So okay tayo, apart from we have to bring a bigger plant.
Yes, make it more green.
Okay.
And a real one,
And
I
maybe
guess.
real. Make it more real.
Real one.
Also, this color is also,
So we keep this.
attracts money, okay? But the green box color is the green.
Okay.
Most of the banks, look at the local, the oldest bank here since Spanish time. It's all red na ngayon. Especially Friday, their uniform is red. PPI. And then another Chinese bank, which I'm the advisor of the owner, it's all blue. I put a streak of green. We make 2 to 3B in 1 year. Yun.
Okay, how
So
do-
it's add-on. Okay, neutral color, you add into it. Okay, okay, like a developer. During Friday, everybody wears black T-shirt. And the old Chinese traditional, black, di ba sa? No, white ang para sa, black is elegance. Okay? For the car, scientifically,
Black
it
is
absorbs the
elegance.
most heat. It protects you. I've been advisor to insurance firm, okay? All gray color, dark gray, ash gray, total wreck. Pero but Chinese car, red cars, okay? Dent, gas, and blank. It
Red
abs-
cars are not nice.
It's good. It absorbs
Good lang.
the negative energy in behalf of you. Kaya dent lang, sira lang.
What about white cars?
Okay.
It depends. It depends on what brand. Okay?
Grabe no.
No, kasi
let's hear
Asian
the
made
brands,
cars, no?
though.
The dent is made of cardboard
Okay,
na.
okay, so
Hindi
let's
na
hear the
metal.
brands. Which brands are good ba?
It's hard to say now because of the EV, the electrical vehicle. No, it's all halo-halo na. May hybrid, may ganun-ganun.
We're
It's
all
so
concerned
hard.
kasi we all have white cars.
Lahat kami white yung car, kaya ako tinanong.
White cars is usually caught in the traffic.
How about blue cars?
Blue cars is cool, it's okay.
Okay lang, okay lang.
Yun, green is okay. Gray, silver, gray, metallic silver, it's okay, but not ash gray. Usually
ash.
total wreck. Usually,
Okay,
Nako.
noted on that. Inisip ko tuloy.
Doc Andy, we're being asked to ask you, any other tips or messages for Filipinos or anything they should be reminded of during this period of Ghost Month?
yeah. So Ghost Month is not to frighten anyone. It's just for us to remember yung mga nawala, yung mga nawala natin mga mahal sa buhay. Okay? Usually pag wala na, saka mo hinahanap eh. Okay? Pag nandyan lang, who cares? Yung pag wala na, oh come on. Now this is the best time for you. Why remember the death when the living one is right in front of you? Do something about it. Okay? And then, just in case lang, yung mga may nawala na, okay, prayers can help a lot. Okay? Kasi the belief is they're all coming here visiting us. So if you remember them, you offer food and prayer, they'll be happy, they will live quietly. Pero yung mga walang nagre-remember, yung mga walang pumapansin, so nagwa-wandering yan. And then ikaw ngayon, nagpa-party-party with all the noise, with all the bright colors. They'll be attracted to your
Hindi rin
place.
pwede mag-party.
Alam
Depend-
ko, ayaw nila ng maingay
Ayaw
na,
ng
tsaka
maingay.
bright.
Oo.
Okay.
Like in construction developer, how can I stop the work for 1 year contractual? So pwede yung mga sort of masilya, painting, electrical, pero bawal na bawal ang excavation or digging or making big hole and making a loud noise.
Yung mga may ingay at malalaki.
Yes. How can you stop the marites from continuing the business? Maingay yan. Come on. Yun ang
On
buhay
that
nila.
note, eto na, nagagalit na sila sa taas kasi chismisan daw tayo ng chismisan dito. Maraming salamat for
Ay,
joining
magtrabaho
us.
kayo.
Magtrabaho nga kayo dyan. For joining us, Feng Shui expert Dr. Andy Tan. Paserox ng notes mo mamaya, Gretch. Alright, before we go, stay na for this one, Doc Andy. Big picture namin tonight. So as we have been running down all the dates, we have a number of holidays this month of August. Tapos Ghost Month pa. Tomorrow is Quezon Day. On August 21, it's Ninoy Aquino Day. And on August 28, it's National Heroes Day. And of course, August 25, it's FIBA Day. But did you know that today, it's not a holiday, but it is National Aspin Day, or Asong Pinoy. This hopes to bring the spotlight on our native dogs, or Aspins, or Asong Pinoy. The Philippine Animal Welfare Society, or PAWS, then coined the term Aspin to the short-haired dogs in 2007 in hopes to uplift their reputation. The photo being flashed on your screens is the Asong Gubat, which was formally introduced to the public back in January. The Philippine Forest Dog, or Asong Gubat, is a native dog breed from the Philippines, and the Philippine Canine Club Incorporated has hoped that it will be the first dog breed from the Philippines to be recognized by the Federation Cynologique Internationale, the ruling organization for national kennel clubs in the world.
National Aspin Day. I didn't know we had that.
I know, actually we were discussing before the show, Reg was asking, ano ba yung difference ng Aspin sa Ascal? Sabi ko, hindi na politically correct yung Ascal. Aspin na ngayon.
Ikaw meron ka, di ba? May Aspin
Meron
ka.
ako si Belly. Hi Belly, happy day. Kain na tayo.
Paano nakuha si Belly?
See you soon.
Galing siya sa Laguna. So I got her from my cousin-in-law kasi yung dun sa farm nila sa Laguna, na or
There are a
Cavite
lot of
pala.
stray dogs.
There's a lot of stray dogs ng anak. Then I got one.
Oh, very cute, your dog.
She is very cute. And that's it for the show tonight. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. And a good